what do you think is the most important gym workout for a guy who needs to be strong but very explosive and needs to build size? What do you think a week for that would look like? So this is a sort of a misnomer, and it's something that people get confused with a lot. Like because it makes for a fun question, right? To say like, what's the ultimate workout? And I've done podcasts before and written articles about the ultimate workout. The fact is that the ultimate workout doesn't exist, and there is no need to do it. Like there's never been something to say that you have to do this single workout forever. That just doesn't exist. Rather, and what's a lot more important is your like 1 year plan, and you break that 1 year plan. Because then then you've got a lot of time to hit a lot of different goals. If you, I'll explain this more in sort of an analogy in a second, but essentially what you've got to use is periodization. You've got to use different periods of time aiming for different goals whilst you prioritize one, and then you really try and bring a sort of fitness component up or a training component up for a decent period of time, and then you would switch that to a different training component or a different part of that training component or a different exercises to suit that training component, and you would continually adjust over the course, every 4 to 6 to 8 weeks, or 12 weeks, maybe even you could stab at 24 if you have a real good run, depending on what the goals are. But you would consistently target like a few specific things. Then you would move on to the next specific thing, and then you'd move on to the next specific thing, and you would do that for a year. And by the end of the year, you've achieved all these like really good feats and accomplishments, and you've got them all, right? Because you've trained for them all individually. It's a much better way to train. People don't want to hear this because they want to get faster, bigger, stronger, and more explosive and lose weight all now. But the reality is, it's patience is like the key in this game. Patience, patience, patience. So, there is no perfect week. There is no perfect workout. The way I usually like to lay it out, and like the sort of periodization 101 would be like build some size initially, right? If you just got a blank slate, you would build some size. You would increase your muscle size, so you'd do some hypertrophy work, which I'll get into in another question because I know we've got some muscle gaining questions. You would do some hypertrophy work for some time, not necessarily overly heavy, but you would work on really trying to get some good volume into the muscle, get that muscle a little bit bigger. Once you've got that bigger muscle, you would build a little bit of strength along with that, just by the same process, right? As long as you're lifting a decent enough amount, you'd support that, grow that muscle to be bigger. Then you would do some, at the same time, you can do a couple different training components at the same time, but not too many. So this one we're looking at like size with a little bit of strength for this first phase, and then you would be looking at movement. You would be doing a lot of like movement work. So either if it's just done with your weights that you're using, or it's done in your prep work where you're doing a few different jumps, but nothing overly intensive, nothing to tax you for your weights, just enough to make sure that you are moving perfectly. And in fact, if you're doing movement training, it must be done at a low intensity to make sure that the movement's right. And this is something I'll get into in another question, but really like just work on your movement. Then once you're moving better, then you can really ensure that you can build strength without that risk of injury. You've also got that increased muscle to then help like push that strength up. You've got more muscle, and more muscle has more potential at being stronger. And then you could probably do a little bit more explosive work because you move better. You've got that room to do explosive work. That's your second phase, right? So your first phase, muscle size, a little bit of strength and movement. Second phase, a little bit more intense movement. So it's not just focused on the movement, it's a little bit focused on explosivity, and then strength work. Okay, that strength work for the most part, as long as you're eating enough, will hold on to your size. As long as you're getting enough volume, your size, you're not going to get smaller. Okay, and then from there, That's your second phase. From there, you would go on to purely working your explosive stuff. This would be when I would also look at trying to do the speed stuff. And again, as long as the intensity is high enough, as long as you're eating enough, you'll hold on to your muscle, you'll hold on to your strength. But now you're utilizing that extra strength in an explosive manner. So you're already stronger. You're then becoming more powerful, and that's how and then you've ticked and you're using that power to become faster, right? You're working speed work on top of that, and therefore you've ticked all the boxes of like the different strength spectrums, right? Hypertrophy, strength, pure strength, and explosivity, and then speed. You're working all the different contraction types, but you've done 3 different phases. Maybe this lasts 20 weeks, and you just repeat that. Doing that is going to be so much more effective than 20 weeks of one program where you're trying to figure out how to do speed, strength, power, hypertrophy all at the same time, right? You're better off just dedicating your resources into one area, or 1 or 2 areas, or the fewest areas that you can, to really make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. And you're saying, okay, I'm working in this phase, I'm just working hypertrophy. I'm okay with not getting faster right now, because that's not the goal of this. I might do a little bit of running, but I'm not trying to prioritize getting faster. Likewise, when you're doing your speed work, you're not going to be adding muscle and pounds of muscle every week. Oh. Did that make you jump as much as it made me jump? That was freaky. Anyway, getting back into that. Likewise, when you're doing your speed work, you're not worrying about adding slabs of muscle onto your frame. You'll just focus on getting faster, because you know that later down the line, you're going to be doing that hypertrophy work once again. And I think it takes a little bit of sort of, not necessarily checking your ego, but not being so scared of, oh crap, what about this I'm missing out on? What about this I'm missing out on? Like, you shouldn't add stuff in just cause. You should add stuff in knowing that you're doing that for a really, really, really specific purpose. And that's the fundamental difference between training with a purpose and sort of just doing stuff and following an arbitrary program, or doing stuff just cause, right? And doing stuff with a purpose is what's going to get you your results. As far as structuring your week is concerned, I'll go on YouTube and type in why you should train high-low. Rugby Muscle made a video about how you should do like higher intensity days, particularly when we're doing speed stuff. It's not as important for the hypertrophy phases, but if you're doing speed work, you want to make sure that you allow yourself to recover, and you allow yourself to work as intense as you can on those speed days. So I would mostly try and organize my week around doing 2-ish high days, 1 to 2-ish medium days, and then 2-ish low days, depending on obviously how much you can do, how often you can commit to the gym, which is another really incredibly important part when we're looking at trying to plan out a perfect week. Like, one perfect week doesn't mean shit. One okay week that's done consistently for 10 weeks is going to beat the shit out of that one perfect week, like in terms of what results you're going to get. So don't make the mistake of overcommitting. If you can only make 4 gym sessions, or if you can only make 2 gym sessions, fucking commit to those 2 and get the best program that you can for those 2 days or those 4 days. Don't worry about like saying, no, I'm going to be serious, I'm going to do 4 days, even though you can know that you're probably only going to get 3, and then every other week is a missed week, and then there's another failure. Hopefully that answers that question.